On Larry King Now, it's True Blood star Anna Paquin.
True Blood has a high body count, so, you know, we like to kill people. It's how we keep it interesting, especially people who the audience actually cares about. Suki is kind of the ultimate compilation female character that doesn't really exist.
You like her?
Oh, she's awesome. I mean, okay, she makes some poor choices sometimes, but then also, if she doesn't make poor choices, there's no drama.
The great actor Marcello Mastroianni told me once that sex scenes are the hardest to do. One, because it's hard to get turned on. Two, because the crew's standing around, you got to do certain positioning.
Yeah, I mean, we just do so much of it on the show that it's kind of become relatively mundane.
Plus, won an Oscar at the age of 11. How did you get into it?
I went to an audition for the piano that was advertised in our local newspaper, and I got the part.
Had you acted before?
Oh, no.
What made you go?
Tagging along with friends.
All next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. Our special guest, Anna Paquin, the Oscar and Golden Globe winning actress, best known for her role as Suki Stackhouse, the half-fairy telepath waitress on the HBO vampire thriller True Blood. It's now in its final season. True Blood airs Sundays at 9 p.m. on HBO. You like that word, final, or is it just unhappy?
I mean, it's been an amazing run. It's kind of sad that it's coming to an end for various reasons, but it's also really exciting. You know, it means we did it.
What are the reasons?
I think that the crew that I've been able to work with on this show are pretty much hands down the most incredibly talented people I ever hope to work with, and obviously I'm sure some of us will cross paths in later years, but it will never be this exact group again.
Because it was time, do you think?
Yeah, you know, and but it's and you know, you can't ever completely recreate that, and so that's sad, but also, you know, we've made some amazing friendships, and you know, it's time to move on.
Now this season started with two of the show's principal characters are killed off.
Yeah.
When you got the script, did that surprise you?
I mean, True Blood has a high body count, so, you know, we like to kill people. It's how we keep it interesting, especially people who the audience actually cares about. Because sometimes in previous years there's been times where we're killing a lot of people, but they're not people the audience are invested in. So, you know, if it doesn't make us sad, then it's probably not going to make the audience sad.
Does that mean you, Anna?
Do you really think I'm allowed to tell you that?
You can't tell me, right?
No.
Your showrunner, Brian Buckner, said, though, and this is his direct quote, "Heads are gonna roll."
Yeah.
All right. A lot more. Can we say this? A lot more.
Yes.
How did it feel shooting the final? It's all done, right?
Yeah, we're done.
When you shoot the final episode of anything, I did 25 and a half years on CNN. That last day was hard.
Well.
What was it like for you?
Well, our last day, I mean, it was hard, but also it doesn't really feel like it, you know, has really, really finished. I mean, because the show's still airing, and we still have, you know, we're all heading off to like Comic-Con and various other things as a group together. So we're kind of getting to sort of wean off, but it is still, it's very surreal and it's sad, but also kind of exciting.
You never played the kind of character you play on this, have you?
No.
A femme fatale.
You mean by conventionally, like, attractive and blonde and perky and happy?
Crazy and sexy and
yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, as opposed to, like, you know, dark and brooding. Yeah. No.
How did you get it? How'd you get the part?
I auditioned quite persistently. And
oh, really?
Yeah, I auditioned a few times, and you know, kept on sort of being surprised that they actually wanted to see me back, because usually, you know, being a brunette is like an insurmountable obstacle to being cast as somebody who's blonde. I mean, I've literally heard before, you just don't seem like a blonde person. I don't actually know what that means. I kind of used to take it as a compliment.
What is a blonde person?
I still don't know. Someone with a good colorist, as it turns out. But no, and then, you know, eventually they offered me the part.
Did you like this script? Did you think True Blood would be a hit?
I mean, my taste is pretty skewed sort of left of center, so, I mean, it was right up my alley. To whether or not other people were gonna like it, I was like, well, either we're all completely lost our minds, which is completely plausible, or this is gonna be fantastic. But either way, it's been so much fun.
Now, in retrospect, why is it a hit?
Because it's so out there, and it's incredibly fun escapism and fantasy, but also with, you know, aspects that are incredibly sort of emotionally poignant and truthful, and it's fun to watch.
How about all the sex?
And do.
A lot of sexual. You
Yeah.
have to be nude as
Yeah,
well.
lots of sexy time.
Scenes.
Yeah.
The great actor Marcello Mastroianni told me once that sex scenes are the hardest to do. One, because it's hard to get turned on. Two, because the crew's standing around, you got to do certain positioning.
Yeah, I mean, we just do so much of it on the show that it's kind of become relatively mundane. I mean that in the best possible way. I mean, it'll be sort of, you know, 4 or 5 in the morning, we're out in the middle of, I don't know, some cemetery or woods or something. I mean, it does become rather technical, you know.
You call the show weird.
It is very weird. I mean, Alan Ball's weird. We're all weird. And I mean that as, you know, a badge of honor.
Did you have any trouble playing nude?
No.
Had you played nude before?
Yeah.
In movies?
Yeah.
So it was no problem for you?
I mean, no.
Well, that's good because
I mean, I don't know, I grew up in New Zealand. We're not particularly hung up on nudity as being this sort of very scandalous thing. I mean, you know, people...
All right, it's part of life.
It's
I've
part
heard.
of
Yeah.
life.
You go to cemeteries. Was it a weird show to do?
I mean, there are definitely moments where you realize you're having a really earnest conversation about the most outlandish, bizarre, out of, you know, this planet kind of thing that you're like, wow, we're having like a really detailed, multiple department heads, like all kinds of things. But if this and that, and then if he explodes like that, should the blood go like, you know, I mean, you're, you know, it is weird, but we've.
But is acting?
But it's so much fun.
It is?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? I mean, that's some of the best stuff, is the so far detached from actual reality.
As a viewer, why do you think we, the collective we, like vampires?
I mean, there's a sort of mystery and intenseness to their carnal and primitive drives.
And death.
And death, and it's all kind of, you know, death and sexuality and ravenous desires all being kind of mixed up together, and it being sort of dangerous and scary. You know, it doesn't totally surprise me that people got into it.
Television looks like it could go anywhere, right? With cable and HBO.
I mean, HBO lets us
There are
do
no limits.
everything. And we have pushed that, you know, that envelope, I think.
She works alongside her husband. Does sex scenes with others directed. We're going to talk all about that. And Anna's marriage to True Blood co-star Stephen Boyer after the break. Anna Paquin, she's Sookie Stackhouse on True Blood. Its final season is underway on HBO, airing Sundays at 9 p.m. You met Stephen Boyer acting with him, right?
Yes, I did.
Tell me about that. Was it? Did you meet in a sex scene? Was
No.
Was it love at first glance?
Well, I got cast, and then they were still looking for their Bill Compton. First, it was actually Sam Trammell got cast, and Ryan Quanten got cast, and then I think I was the third one, and then we were still looking for our Bill. So I came in to read opposite him for his, you know, studio audition
There's
thingy.
a picture of both of you.
Aww.
So what happened?
Well, I mean, they do these chemistry reads to make sure that you guys are going to click. So then I always find it funny when people are shocked that, like, oh, you guys are together? It's like, well, yeah.
I mean, was it right away you like?
No, I mean, you know, we're both professionals, and it was signing up for a very long job, and obviously you don't want to, like, you know, ruin things for everybody else if your little fling goes sideways. So, you know, we were relatively.
So acting sexual scenes with your husband was acting, right? I mean,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, was there anything weird about it?
I mean, not really. I mean, all the stuff that we shoot, sort of, all the sex stuff is always quite sort of melodramatic, and there's fangs, and there's blood, and there's all kinds of stuff that just, you know, I mean, I don't know about your bedroom, but doesn't happen in mine. So there's enough about it that's just not really,
So when
that you can't take it too seriously.
If he had sex with someone else, you with someone else, he directed you.
He did. I mean, Sookie and Bill have kind of, you know, done the rounds. But also, that's how we met, and that was the show we were on. And from the pilot, I mean, obviously it wasn't either of our characters, but Ryan Quanten's character has some pretty frisky action with, one of the gals, and it was like, oh, okay, that's sort of where the show is heading. So we weren't exactly shocked.
How did you deal with pregnancy during the show?
Well, we tried to time it quite carefully. And up until the last couple of episodes, there was a lot of creative costuming and creative blocking, and then they just kind of like CGI'd out the bump. No, I'm serious.
They do that, really?
Oh, yeah, literally.
But you had to play scenes with the bump.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sex scenes with the bump.
Actually, Sookie's got less action that year.
Good thinking.
Yeah, there was only one scene that we had to shoot while I was in fact pregnant that was basically, he's having this like fantasy while he's having sex with Salome, who turns into Lilith, and then it turns into me, and then back into her. So I was like, oh wow, it's like basically like a lineup of gangbang of my husband while I was pregnant. Obviously not all of us at the same time, but we shot from shoulders up just to make it not like, okay, that's actually kind of creepy.
Are you a non-practicing bisexual?
I am married to my husband, and we are happily monogamously married.
But you were bisexual.
Well, I don't think it's a past tense thing.
No?
No.
What?
Are you still straight if you're with somebody? It doesn't mean you're not, if you were to break up with them or they were to die, it doesn't prevent your sexuality from
Stop
existing.
With wishful thinking, okay?
No, I'm just saying, it doesn't really work like that.
Are you surprised, as left as you are, as you say, are you surprised at how quickly public perception of same-sex has changed?
Well, I think it's fantastic.
10 years ago, if I told you same-sex marriage is on the way to every state.
I don't think anyone would have believed you.
How do you account for it?
How do I account for it?
Yeah, how did it happen?
Honestly, that I can't really answer. I do know that the more people who are outspoken and advocate for, same-sex unions and LGBT rights, I have to believe that that makes a difference. And the sort of level of ignorance and hatred just becomes less acceptable. And the more people understand, I don't know,
Education.
Yeah, education and exposure, and just like, well, you don't really have an option of being completely closed-minded and bigoted, so.
Don't you think television had a lot to do with it? Shows,
well,
sitcoms and.
I don't watch a lot of TV, but our show certainly has a lot of,
everything.
Yeah, a lot of sexual fluidity. But then I think there's still people who, they have their feelings and their beliefs, and they're kind of want to stay there.
You grew up in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Were your parents open about this too, to raise a child as?
Sure, but I also grew up on movie sets. Like you kind of see a lot of everything. I just never thought it was a big deal, or sort of I don't know. There was no stigma.
Did you have an accent?
Me? Of course.
Where did it go? Or are you using it now? Or
I was going to say, it kind of turns off and on. If I'm speaking to my mother or my sister on the phone, my accent kind of comes back a lot more. When I'm at home with my husband, because he's English, that sort of dulls down my American accent, but it's not quite my full New Zealand accent. But
what are the twins going to speak like?
I have no idea.
Boy and a girl. Huh?
I was going to say, I'll find out when they start talking.
The world will never forget her Oscar win. Up next, Anna, on conquering the Academy Awards as a kid, and about being a mother. That's next. Anna, what's it like having twins?
It's great.
There got to be a hassle part to it.
Well, I'm pretty sure that most of parenting involves some kinds of hassles. I don't think it's, if you have a big family, I'm sure that has its own challenges.
You said that you were painfully shy?
Yeah.
You were?
Absolutely.
How did you get over shyness? You're not shy now.
I still am sort of in certain contexts. I'm not good in big groups.
Oh, yeah?
No.
Really?
I get kind of shy in large groups of people that I don't know.
Does your husband like being a father?
I hope so, because he has 4 kids.
Oh, he has kids. Do you get along with his kids?
Of course.
Well, not of course. You don't have to.
Oh, you mean in the sort of like Cinderella, step-parent, like Disney version where they're the Wicked Witch? Yeah, no, we're all good.
You won an Oscar at the age of 11. How did you deal with too much too soon?
Well,
They are.
Oh, well, again, I didn't have anything else to compare it to. That was just sort of something that happened,
now,
and then.
In retrospect.
Well, my parents were really conservative about what they wanted me to do, as far as they weren't really too keen on me actually continuing with acting. They were kind of worried that it would be sort of
How
damaging
did
and
you
weird.
get into it?
I went to an audition for the piano that was advertised in our local newspaper, and I got the part. And
Had
that
you
was it.
acted before?
Oh, no.
What made you go?
Tagging along with friends.
Really?
Yeah.
They were auditioning?
Yeah.
So you said, I'll give it a shot.
I was just like, okay, I'll come too.
All right, what was it like to work on that film?
I mean, my like really specific memories are a little fuzzy because that was 23 years ago. But I mean, I remember enjoying it enough that I wanted to do it again.
Were you shocked about nomination, winning, that whole thing?
Well, I didn't know what an Oscar was, so after someone explained to me exactly what that was, yeah, it was pretty surprising.
Is it true that Red Book magazine reported that you saw the piano for the first time as an adult? Mm-hmm. Why didn't you see
When I was 11, it would have been a bit, inappropriate. And then I didn't really sit around and watch my own movies, so it didn't really kind of come up. And really, I only watched it because I get asked if I'd seen it a lot, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen it yet. And I got sort of bored of having to say, no, I haven't seen it.
What'd you think of it, Anna?
I mean, maybe I should watch it when I'm a bit older and be more detached about it. At the time, I was
Don't you
kind of,
think it's a great film?
well, I'm in it. So that's kind of hard to judge.
Well, you can do it. Okay.
I'm not very I don't have a lot of objectivity, and then also watching the people that like Holly, who was playing my mom, like having really graphic sex scenes was kind of weird. So
You had a unique career for someone young.
yeah, I've been very fortunate.
You were also directed by Philip Seymour Hoffman, right?
I was.
In the play The Glory of Living. Where was that play?
That was off Broadway in New York.
What was it like working with him?
Extraordinary.
He's a great director, great actor, great.
I mean, I'd never been to drama school or acting school in any way, and that was the first time I'd ever been on stage. And I mean, it is a completely different beast, which he was very kind of, heavy about in the beginning. Was like, and I was like, just tell me what to do, and I'll, you say jump, I'll say how high, And he, in the best possible way, beat the ever-loving whatever out of me.
He did?
Oh my God, had extraordinarily high standards for himself and expected that of everyone else. And
Was he tyrannical?
No.
But tough.
But very tough, and I respond well to that.
That was a real tragedy, his loss. He's a great talent.
Yeah.
You and your husband have a deal to develop other projects with HBO. Mm-hmm. What's in the works?
We have a bunch of stuff, both some potential stuff for series, for miniseries, for
Anything imminent?
nothing totally imminent. We're kind of looking to sort of take a minute and breathe, relax, and get some sleep before we jump back into anything.
Why get into that side of the business?
Because I've been doing this a really long time, and acting's fun, but it's also interesting to expand and give yourself more responsibilities and more challenges and sort of create your own destiny as opposed to just sitting there waiting for stuff to land on your lap.
Will you do other acting roles?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it just interests me. I know there's probably some actors who don't really pay a lot of attention to the production end of stuff when they're on set. I always do. I find it interesting. I am, the details are things that are not.
Why are they doing that?
Yeah, exactly. Or like, why are we not doing this? Or why are we, the details interest me. And I'm a bit of a geek, so I think being a producer is probably a pretty.
Well, the details of True Blood must have driven you wild.
Well, I mean, I think they drove all of us a little wild.
They set things up.
I mean, it was, our producers and everyone are incredibly wonderful, but must have had just such a headache for the last 7 years trying to make all the crazy moving parts actually land in the right place at the right time. I mean, it's a very high concept show.
A little nuts, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How long did it take to shoot each episode?
Well, that depends. Anywhere from like 14 to 25 days, I think, was possibly.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot for TV.
For series television? Yeah, usually it's a week.
Yeah, we've had some very long episodes. But that's the other thing about HBO. They put their support behind the actual product.
Are they the biggest movie maker now?
HBO?
Yeah.
I mean,
they are.
I can't imagine having to work anywhere else because of the amount of creative freedom that you have and the degree to which they will financially support that. I'm sure there's other places that I just haven't worked for yet that have that, but nothing I've experienced so far comes even close to being like that, and that's why I want to keep working with them.
Would you do a sitcom?
I don't know if I'm funny.
No?
I don't know. I've never done comedy, so I might not be funny.
Well, you weren't blonde, and you're blonde.
Well, who knows? I mean,
You weren't
know.
killing people, and you're into True
No,
Blood.
I've killed people, I think, a couple times on film, but but obviously that wasn't real. No, honestly, I don't really have a sort of specific plan of things I definitely, want to do or definitely not want to do. It's really more, character and story and who I'd be working with. But, I guess at some point I'll find out whether I'm funny. And if I'm not, that might be really funny.
I'll bet.
And then I'll never do that again.
Anna will answer your questions in our final segment, and we'll play a little game of You Only Knew and True Blood. Sundays at 9 p.m. on HBO. It's its final season. Don't go away. We're back with Anna Paquin. True Blood airs Sundays 9 Eastern on HBO. We have some social media questions. Crystal 4 Radio via Twitter wants to know if you think a True Blood movie could ever happen.
I mean, I don't really know where. That's a bit hard to answer because obviously I can't tell you what happens at the very end of the season, but I'm not really sure where it would go from where we wrap it
Will I
up.
be shocked at the end of the season?
Oh, I hope so.
I love BS23 tweets. What was your favorite part about playing Suki on True Blood?
Suki is kind of the ultimate compilation female character that doesn't really exist. She gets to sort of like wear cute clothes and be cute and blonde and perky, but like kick ass and get the ever-loving whatever kicked out of her and be involved in all the stuff that normally plot-wise would be sort of the male characters.
You like her?
Oh, she's awesome. I mean, okay, she makes some poor choices sometimes, but then also if she doesn't make poor choices, there's no drama.
At Venetian tweets, any funny stories from the set? Did you have a lot of laughs?
Yes.
Yeah?
Not a lot of them that are super shareable.
Okay. Jess via Instagram wants to know what made you want to become an actress? When you went on that trip with your friends.
I didn't actually really intend to be an actress. I kind of ended up having opportunities and sort of gradually realizing I liked it. And then...
Did you get stuff right after the piano?
Yeah, but my mom was pretty, and dad were pretty, sort of careful about what they let me do.
Rosemary Alta on Instagram. Do you have any experiences of the spirit world like your character does?
No.
Thank heavens. At Bridget T tweets, is Joe as huge in person as he looks on TV?
Probably bigger.
Bigger?
Mm-hmm. Because I'm usually in like heels or standing on like a half apple box. So
and
that we're in the
Felicity
same
Kate
shot.
wants to know if you miss New Zealand.
I mean, I haven't lived there in a really long time. I miss my family. But, that's sort of not quite at the sort of nostalgia stage
Yesterday.
yet. Yeah.
Okay. Fort Rucco via Twitter. Is there any kind of role in particular you'd like to play?
Oh, God, so many. But, I mean, I can't really sort of say, well, this is exactly what I want to do next. I mean, just sort of continue getting to work with interesting people. And
Romcom Tab tweets, would you ever want to be in another huge TV series like True Blood?
yeah, sure, of course.
We finished the show with a little game called If You Only Knew. I just throw out questions.
Uh-oh.
You remember the first boy you kissed?
Yes.
What was his name?
Not telling.
How old were you?
15.
After you won an Oscar, you hadn't kissed the boy yet.
Yeah.
15. Okay, so I get a feeling this guy's still around. Okay. What's a guilty pleasure?
Procedural cop shows.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I love them too. Law and Order? Mm-hmm. Oh, the original Law and
Actually,
Order.
I'm not guilty about it. I'm very,
Me too.
I'm
The
totally,
original Law and
yeah,
Order?
exactly.
The best.
Yeah.
The best. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
I think flying would be pretty cool. I don't really dig airplanes
You
that
have a
much.
secret talent.
I don't really have a lot of secrets left. I've been doing like this stuff for too long.
Oh, you're pretty open. Craziest thing a fan has ever done to get your attention?
I mean, we see in general some pretty wild stuff at Comic-Con every year.
Comic-Con. I'd never go there again.
No, Comic-Con's great.
You think so?
Yeah, you actually get to meet these people who watch your stuff, but sometimes people are very enthusiastic.
Maybe it's my age or something. It's just, it was crazy.
Oh, it is crazy, but that's why I like it. It's fun.
I guess I'd go again. I was only kidding. You're stranded on a desert island. What 3 things you want with you? Excluding the twins and your husband. That's a given.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, are we being really practical or like...
Oh, you would be practical?
I don't know, water, matches, and a satellite telephone.
If not an actor, what would you be?
I never really had the opportunity to fully explore that, so I'm not really sure.
Is there something you wish you were good at? I wish I played piano. Speaking of piano.
I wish I had a sense of direction and slightly better spatial awareness, and that I didn't get lost in places that I've been to 700 times.
You are a riot.
No, I'm not even slightly kidding.
If you think you would not do well in comedy, you got another thing.
No, but I'm serious. I literally will come out of the same stage door that I've been out of like 800 times and turn the wrong way. Yeah.
If you could be anywhere else in the world right now, where would it be?
My bed.
Okay, I'd have the same wish. By the way, I hate to. Best piece of advice you ever received?
Best piece of advice. I'm sure I've had lots, but I can't think of anything really pithy off the top of my head.
Seymour Hoffman give you a good piece of advice?
I mean, he just, kind of railed on me mercilessly for weeks on end. So, I mean, kicked my ass in all the best possible ways, but I can't think of like one singular thing.
Tell me something people don't know about you.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Everybody knows everything
well,
about
no, I'm not saying everything because I'm not really that, I don't put all my stuff really out there, but I don't know. I don't really know what people do know or don't know.
Are you a good fan of movies?
No, not really.
You don't go to films?
Not very often, no. I usually see things like 10 years after the fact, after everybody else
like
is
your own movie?
Yeah, or like, I think 10 years after it finished airing, I was like, oh my God, there's this amazing show. It's called The West Wing. I am obsessed with it. I was like, yeah, we were all there 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Could have tried a Lone Ranger. That was pretty
better
good.
late than never, right?
Anna, you're a delight.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks to my guest, Anna Paquin. True Blood airs Sundays at 9 p.m. on HBO. And remember, you can find me on Twitter at King's Things. And I'll see you next time. Where's that kiss?
Ha! You're funny.